This is a GK Media podcast.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellth Talks with myself, Garry Kelly, GK Media, Pádraic Ó Máille of Smácht, and Niall Leyden of Atlantic Wealth Management. And thank you so much for the amazing feedback we have gotten over the last number of weeks, but especially in the past week. Pádraic put out a call to you there in our last episode asking you to please send us in your feedback because we thrive on positive feedback. So thank you so much for messaging us over the past week. One of the messages I got, and it hit home, was someone who was telling me that he lives in Dublin and himself and his wife are separating. And there was no affair or anything like that. The root cause of the, shall we say, demise of the marriage was she told him he has his own business. And she told him the biggest problem is when you came home in the evenings, you were there physically, but you weren't there, mentally, spiritually, whatever. You were not present at the kitchen table. You were there eating dinner with us, but you were not present. And in his defense, he was saying, I've so many things going on through my head. But it's so important for us to be, Niall said this to me many times, be where your feet are, to be present.
That's absolutely gold. And I mean, and on the Dublin piece, the feedback, and we were just going through some of the feedback we received across different platforms to our listenership in Dublin. A lot of chat about the west coast of Ireland and down south and northwest and different things. So I said I better get that said fairly early on. We have a lot of clients and a lot of friends and a lot of family in Dublin. So thanks all for dialing in. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think, and I believe this passionately, that a lot of the world's problems and our own problems emanate from the fact that we're either living, or as you talk in your very formative Pádraic about the past, or looking far too forward into the future. Instead of, do you know what? Be where your feet are. We have a choice in terms of how we think, how we act, how we respond, how we behave, how we get up in the morning, choosing our attitude. How, particularly that's the whole react and respond. And
like, what's my purpose today?
100%.
Focus, sometimes we don't focus enough on just the day right in front of us. Smell the roses, the people you meet, the conversations you have, the sun shining down your face, literally being present with what you have today. Yeah. So important.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, we talked about winning the month.
Yeah.
And it's a really good strategic unit to plan. Niall is talking about Dublin here, but I'm going to bring both Leinster and Munster in. It was well known that when Joe Schmidt took over the Irish rugby job, that the Munster guys weren't as keen on Schmidt and Paul O'Connell in particular. But Schmidt won him over really quickly. And Paulie O'Connell, and you can check this out on YouTube, he described a strategy that Smith had, and it was win the moment in front of your face. Win the moment in front of your face. That was in the context of 80 minutes of a rugby match, yeah? So you forget about the tackle you've just missed and you forget about the great score you're going to do. You win the moment in front of your face. And it was hugely instrumental in Schmidt's thinking, so it was. I think it's a really powerful mantra for all of us. You can take it straight away. Win the moment exactly in front of your face. We had one nice one, and Niall, you were there. 28th of August, I talk a lot about our last Smácht more in Ballyvaughan, and there's some really eloquent, experienced, loquacious speakers there, and I go around the room.
And just to interrupt for a second, just in case people are only tuning in now to some of the latter episodes, just to explain, Smácht is a beautiful community that Pádraic has built with various people in business, and you meet online every 2 weeks. But then there's 4 big Smácht more events every year where everyone gets together, and it's a big one-day focus. Some people like Niall Leyden turn it into a 3-day event, even though it's only a 1-day event. But it's a big thing of everyone getting together, and there's, it's the focus and the learnings and the sharing that happens at a Smácht more event.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, Garry. And so we were in this beautiful theatre in Newtown Castle in Ballyvaughan, And it's a very spiritual, special place. So I was going around the room and I was asking everybody to give their tuppence halfpenny, their breakthroughs, their challenges. And everybody was sitting down except for this beautiful man called Dennis Sheridan from DS Environmental in Letterkenny. And Dennis, I don't know, he walked down the centre aisle and he stood beside me right centre stage. And as you know, Garry, we're trained on this programme to let the agenda go. And so I didn't know what was going to happen. And I don't recall the lines, but so many people, including you, Niall, wrote the lines down. And in this beautiful Donegal accent, Dennis said, "I am exactly where I am supposed to be now." And for almost since then, everyone in Smácht has been talking about that. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. And I've kind of shortened it to 5 words. Be where you are right now. And we get so all day long, we start thinking about the next meeting, or we thinking about the last meeting, or we're thinking about the weekend, or whatever. Free yourself up from the tyranny of the future and the memories of the past and live in the moment. Yeah. Be where you are exactly now. And I think from a business perspective, that's worth a fortune to us.
Even I remember years ago with my eldest, Erin, that when she was kind of maybe 6, 7, 8 years of age, being on the floor playing Barbies with her. And there's times where, you know, your real business is busy, stressful, loads of emails you got to get back to, people you got to ring. You know, there's a lot of things on the shoulders. But there were times, I'm glad to say, I didn't get it right all the time. But there were times when I just left the phone outside the room and I got down on the floor and I'd say, okay, let's just do 10, 15 minutes and be completely in the zone and be present with her. And we had a blast, silly little fun role-playing games that we were doing with Barbie. And those years are gone now. You know, she's too old.
She's too Barbie.
Yeah, she's too cool to get on the floor with her daddy now and play Barbie, and that's fine. But she still remembers those games and will bring them up every so often. Oh, do you remember the time that we turned Barbie into Niall Horan from One Direction or something like that? And we'd laugh about it. And it's important to remember that the moments you're present, it is a moment of presence, and those moments don't last forever. So really value the quality of time that you get with certain people in your life. You know, whether it's on the floor with your child, whether it's at the kitchen table with your family, you know, your partner, your children, your parents, your siblings, your cousins, whatever, your colleagues. But really do just give those people in front of you your full time, your full presence.
Isn't that the thing, Garry and Niall? Children and dogs, or children and animals, live in the present moment. You know, dogs don't do snots. You know, you arrive home in the evening, they're up, and then they'll sleep for hours and hours and hours and hours, but they're in the moment. So I think we can learn hugely from both children and indeed animals. As you were talking, Garry, the great Deepak Chopra, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and I hope I paraphrase this right, but in a great book of his called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Beautiful, beautiful book. He said, the past is history. The future is a mystery. All we've got is the present, which is why it's called the present. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get out of the past and let's get out of the future. Let's live in the present.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. So there you go. That's your lesson for this week. Be present. And please, as always, continue sending us in your love. We love getting all the positive feedback. And please do continue to share Wellth Talks with your friends and colleagues. We appreciate your support so much. Any kind of ideas or topics or themes as well that you'd like us to discuss, any questions, especially for the lads in terms of the business that they're involved in, send us in those questions. And we can do a quick fire round as well. So we're open to the ideas that will help fulfill you as well. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.